Hello everybody and welcome to another small tutorial. And this time I will actually take a beginner lens. If you want to try to repair some old manual focus lens, I would guess that this one, which I will make a tutorials, 2-3 tutorials about, and how you handle this, the tools and the lens itself, and how we actually get into it and take it apart and then put it back in again. So this is an old non-SMC, it will say super multi-coated. It's Pentax Takumar 28mm 2.8, and this will be part 1. And there will be another parts following after this. But let's see, this nice lens actually looks pretty okay, except for the aperture. If I set it to 22, well, nothing seems to really work. And the lens element, if we zoom out a little, if it's possible, come on little fellow. It is. I mean, it should be possible. Okay, here we go. So, if I take a torch, small light, pen light, the lens element itself looks kind of okay, but in the middle of the front group and the back, front group and back group. Those inner elements seems to be very dusty or salty, so I will take a closer look into in the next part. And but this time I'll just show how to open the lens and which tool you need to use and what not to do, which tool not to do to use. So I mean, this should be a simple. I haven't been into it before. I just bought it very cheap, which I think it could be great fun to make a video. I mean, some videos about. But let's see how we can get into it. I think we'll use some of these rubber cones from Japan Hobby Tool, which I think will work pretty good for the diameter here on. I think also from the back. I don't know. But I think it'll be fine. We need some JIS screwdriver. This is the Moody tools, which I buy on iFixit.com. And this is a set of 4 screwdrivers. I mean JIS screwdriver, because it is a Japanese lens. So you of course need Japanese screwdrivers, because the JIS stands for Japan Industry Standard, as I understand it. And those screwdrivers are pretty okay. But if you do not have a JIS, or you only have the PH00, well, you could actually make a kind of, it's not the same, I know, but you can make your own JIS look-alike, and it works pretty good. Take a needle file and file the very sharp pointy tip off. So, and then you have to try it again. So see if it fits perfect in those screws. And compare with a real PH00, which I have not modified. It's completely new. And you can see if I put it in here and put it on some of the screw, it will simply not, it doesn't have the correct size and shape. But if I use this one, which I have modified, Well, it should be much better. I mean, the screws still sits pretty tight, or some of the screws are pretty worn out. So maybe if I take this one, it looks better, but it slips. But this one, which is much better to unscrew, and of course the JIS, which the most common use is the JIS 000 and the 00. Here it's called 2mm and 2.5. But okay, we need a tweezer. A pointy tweezer is very good, and of course I also use some dentist tool, used dentist tool, which I can get cheap at my dentist when I get my teeth half a year, controlled by my dentist. So sometimes she has some of those tools. I don't know in here, but the 1.5mm flathead screwdriver is sometimes very useful. Maybe 1.2, I don't know yet. Well, and I don't think in this lens we will need to use some of those compasses or special tool for disassembled lenses, but just in case, I just have it beside me. And of course a blower is very good. You can get them in many different sorts of prices and so on. But let's have a look inside and see if it's possible to come into it. I will begin from the front. I think it would be fine. On this, the whole collection of rubber tools here, simply just put on here, because it's pretty sticky, and I think it looks like the front nameplate is it made of plastic or something. So have a good grip, and then it comes off, and then you can just unscrew it gently without any problem. It looks like there's some oil in here. There could be some, I mean the aperture blades didn't work in this one, so there probably is something wrong. I don't know yet what, but let's see if we can go into, I think you need to unscrew this part here. This part here, the light gray, as you can see, and if I use this one, probably use the smaller one. Maybe this one will be fine. Okay, maybe if I turn one of those around, you see you can use them in both ends. Just put them on and have a good grip. No? Okay, maybe if I take 2 or 3 of them, put together, and then press on the front here. Yeah, and it's, I think it's come loose. So that's fine. Haha. So you can see it actually fits perfect here. And I can see here there is a kind of, if you look close here, there is a kind of a gap. So this ring, it must be a ring that holds the front lens. Maybe there are 2 more lenses in here, 1 more lens. And what about the back? There is also a kind of a retaining ring. So it looks like there are maybe 2 or 3 lenses in here that we can come into sooner. First I want to figure out what's actually wrong with the Aperture system. And oh, I think there's the arrow is here. It looks like this pin here. This pin I draw into has to sit in the gap here. So it looks like something has fallen out or so. But is it possible to move the blades? Oh yeah. And they're not sticky. So I would guess if I can move this, or maybe I can draw this pin. So bend it a little. I mean, don't bend it too much, but maybe you can click into, oh, hehe. And now you can see it actually works pretty good. So if one have a Pentax camera, the blades would actually work. But also, I mean, it should be possible to open and close the aperture. So that's really good. I mean, very simple. But I need to go closer, I mean, deeper into the lens, because I want to take off the mount and see what's behind here. I mean, this works pretty good now, but how does it actually look on the back? Especially if I take off the hook here, and you see, can be unclick. Do it again. So if I move this, and so you can see if I close the aperture, it works pretty good. So if I want to have it fully open and not with this pin, I can simply move this pin here, so I can free the pin there. So, and now it's free. So I can just move the, oh what? So this one has to be closed, I mean set on 22, and then I can move the blades without the pin here. Well, but let's have a look inside on the back. There are 5 screws, and it seems like the mount can only sit one way because of this pin here has to be connected to the inner aperture system. So let's see what we can do about it. And again, if I use my Philips PH00, my real one, I would probably damage the screwdriver or the screw. But it seems like the screws are pretty loose. So if I get them out, so I think the subject here will be fine for people who want to attempt the inside of a lens without any problem, or it's not, I think it's not an expensive lens. So, and I think it could be useful for taking photos by with my infrared camera, which I have converted, and make a video out of. Now the mount seems to be loose, but what's going on here? You see, if I move the mount, the pin here will also move, and it looks like there's a kind of a spring attached to this pin here. Maybe you can see it. Oh, we have some focus. There's a kind of a spring down here. So maybe it's a bad idea to take off the mount. So I would actually just give it one screw, and if we see closer here, there are some small screws that hold the black ring in here. There's one here with a red dot, and there's one here and one there. And I think we use the smaller, it will say the 2mm JIS to unscrew those. And it will be interesting to see what's inside here under that. Okay, so there. And then it should be possible to lift out this black part. Okay. And there. This is how it looks, just plastic. And as I mentioned on the other side, when I moved this, the connection for the camera, the aperture, as I could see the spring here inside. This is the one spring, this is here. So maybe it's possible to just take out the mount without any problem. Where did it go here? Really not good screws. And the screws, if they are bad, they could actually damage your screwdriver. So now I can freely move the mount and take it off. But how should it be put back in again? Okay, I have my red dot here. And since I also have a kind of a dot, or it should be white. Maybe it has been red in the past, many years ago. So this one has to sit here. I would guess so. Or not. Not really. Okay. It has to sit in line with the index mark, which is the orange here. Which you can see here, this mark here has to sit in line with that. This is where you put on the, when you mount it on the camera and simply attach it to the camera and then click it into place. Well, I do not have a Pentax camera, so I cannot show it with you. But I can just unmount it, and since we have a gap here all the way around here, and there's also a pin here that is connected to the aperture ring here, I guess so, yeah. So when I move the aperture ring, it will also move the inside of the aperture assembly, which you can see here. I can open and close the aperture, and quite simple. And since those parts only can sit in one position, it cannot sit over here, so it can only sit here. But there was one part that moves. So this part here is going against, if we close it a little. There's not really much battery on this remote. Okay, so this pin here, which is pushing on the aperture blades or the aperture assembly, it will go along here in this curved metal. So when I move the aperture ring here, it will also move the aperture assembly, it will say here. So you see, if I do so, and the connection for the aperture ring, it has a pin here, this pin here, and it's connected to the actual aperture ring here. That's a kind of a notch. And then we also, I mean, this aperture ring, like many other lenses, have clicks, as you can hear. So there must be some kind of steel ball and a small spring. And if we look closer here, you maybe can see it here. There's many lumps or notches or so that makes the distance between the different clicks and the different aperture you put the lens on. So when take off this, you do not just pull the ring off, but because then the spring and the steel ball will probably fool around, and so the one thing you do is just put your hand over here and lift it up in the other side, and there will probably be easier to catch the spring and the steel ball, hopefully. I don't know how it looks inside. Okay, so you see here there is a small steel ball here, tiny, but there is also, like many other lenses, there is a small spring here. Take care of that, because you will need it when you put the lens back in again. So this is how the ring looks, the aperture ring. So, and now we are actually much deeper into the lens and can see what's happened in here. I think we'll need to take off the back lens group. With there is a kind of a coating, so maybe it's only single coated, I don't know yet. But let's have a look here with the lens here, the back lens, and hopefully one can take it off with these cones. One could probably just put it on like this and then press, or use the other end because it's really flexible. It depends on how you feel that it could be when you work with it. So by unscrew it, it doesn't sit that tight. Some lenses can sit pretty tight, and therefore if there was some kind of thread lock, and it doesn't seem there hasn't been any. One can most of the time see if there has been some black or dark areas where there could be some kind of a thread lock. It would be Loctite or something, or other adhesive thread locks. There is also a thin washer here, spacer, and it's put in because it used to adjust, I mean in some lenses used to adjust the actual focus, the fine focus adjustment. There are also other way to fine tune the focus in some lenses like this. But we just put the lens assembly, just put it away, and then I can work further on the other parts here. Now, to not lose anything, I would take this off and remember how it should face. So when you work with those kind of lenses, it will be a very good idea to take photos now and then. This part will just sit here, so there's nothing to take off. Now this spring here could also be moved and fully take apart. But before doing so, because in some lenses you must be very sure that things sit where you unscrew them. So sometimes it's a good idea to just set marks around here and simply make a scratch around the edge of the thingy, the parts. Not too much, but just as much as you can see where the parts sit. And sometimes it's also a good idea to make a scratch like here and simply make a scratch on both the parts. Probably you can see here. So when I take it apart, I have a scratch on those, both the aluminium part and the, I don't know what it is, copper part or so. But I know exactly where they sit before I take it apart. So therefore marks are very important. And you can see there also put some kind of a lacquer painting to lock the screws so they will not fall apart. It could be, when you put it back in again, you could use some Loctite 243 or nail polish. You can get nail polish in many different colors. So this is why I set mark. You see, you think, okay, there's only those two holes, but the holes are not round. They are actually kind of a oval. So this part here can actually be moved in one direction or the other to adjust it to correct precision. So therefore, it's important to set marks here so you know where the position for this part is. I haven't seen the repair manual for this lens, so this is why I make my marks on lenses. There are many lenses there is no repair manual, so you have to decide, okay, what to do. Maybe it's simple for some people, but this is a lens that would be good for beginners to work with. So I need to just, let's see, use a kind of a spade or screwdriver to loosen it and lift it off. So this part comes out fine. And you see the hook here, where the one end of the spring is attached to here. It's possible to put it on. Okay, it falls off. It happens now and then. So if I put this on here, springs can sometimes be pretty annoying to work with, but here you can see how it will work. So don't lose the spring and the 2 screws that are attached to it. When I work in this way, I put the screws in and parts in groups, so I know exactly where they belongs to. And then we are almost there. You see, it looks like there is some kind of, let's see, the bottom part, those 3 screws around here, which I think hold the under part of the aperture assembly. So, okay, I will go into next part, which will be about the aperture blades, and it will be in the next video. So stay touch on. So bye bye, see you. So here we go to part 2 of this working with the non-SMC Super Multi-Coated Pentax Super Takumar, not Super Takumar but only Takumar 28mm 2.8 part 2. And this will be about the aperture assembly with the blades inside here. And it works pretty good. But how to go into the blades and work with the blades after that. If there was some kind of oil in here, the blades will be pretty sticky. And then I want to take them out. So what to do about it? You can see there are 3 screws around here. One there, there, and there. So, and I think, okay, there are also 3 around here. So why can I not just take those out? No, but you can see, we can see the underside here. There's 1, 2, 3 screws. And it would be those here. Yeah. So I need to take off the 3 screws to get into this aperture plate, take out the blades, and possibly when I unscrew this part, it will be the underside of the aperture assembly. But before I do so, I would think, without knowing it yet, that I need to be sure where those where the underring here sits correct, because it looks like you can set those screws in 3 different positions. So if I just unscrew those, this ring would probably, I mean, it could be depending on the design of the aperture, but it could be that I have to sit the under part of the aperture assembly, I mean, something like there, there, or there. So I don't know yet, but just to be sure, I can just set a mark here. So now I have set a scratch on both this part here and the inner side of here. So I can, without any problem, unscrew the aperture assembly. Hopefully there is only round holes in those 3 for those 3 screws. But let's see. There's also some kind of a thread lock on, and it looks like, as I mentioned before, one has to set some marks somewhere. So I will also set mark here, because the holes are not just round, they are oval. It will say it can be adjusted. Okay, set a mark here, or where you want, doesn't really matter. There, and you also set a mark in here. So, now I know exactly where this ring would sit. So I can just, without any problem, unscrew all those screws that hold the aperture plates. Of course, the design is different in other lenses, so then it should be possible to take out this ring, hopefully without any problem. Let's see. Okay, here we are. And there is nothing. Okay, there. It's good we get into this lens, because there are actually some oil, as you can see the shiny stuff here, and it would be a beginning to have oil on in the aperture system. And the oil comes from the focusing system. So here we can see how the plates actually is working. Okay. So I can just take out this part here, and then we enter the plates. So you see this ring here, there is oil in here somewhere on the edge. So it'll be, well, over time it will be sticky and get further on the plates. So they will also be sticky and have problem with open and close. So I also need to take out the plates and get further into the next part, the under part of the aperture assembly. So I can simply just take out the plates here without any problem. They're very thin and probably made of metal. One can find out if they are. Well, if you have a magnetized screwdriver, they could be that they are made of metal, as you can see. Those plates can only sit in one position for this lens and many other lenses. So I simply take out the whole thing here. And my tweezer here is anti-magnetic or non-magnetic. So it's good to work with aperture plates. So there, and there's only 5. Oh, so. Oops. And if you try to put them in a wrong way, it would not be possible, because the distance between the pin, those 2 pins, and the aperture, this pin here, it would not work, not at all. So if I put it in here, you can see it will not simply work. Everything will go wrong. So that's important to know, and it's really good to know. So off of that plate, and I can simply go further into the this part here, which I will take off here. And for that, I think it will be the bigger screwdriver. Sometimes it's fine. And those holes are really good. They only sit there. It can only sit in that position. But since I have my mark here, I still know exactly where they should sit. So all for that. And then it comes out. Oh, and so it is. And you see, it can only sit in one position since I set a mark here. And I also set a mark somewhere here. Somewhere around there. Maybe you can see it. Somewhere in there. So those two marks, they have to sit in line. So that was actually working with disassemble the Aperture system. And then I will continue with the focusing system here. The next video. Bye bye. Okay, we continue. This is the part 3 of the working with the non-SMC. It will say non-multi-coated Pentax Takumar 28mm 2.8. And the part 3 will be about the focus assembly, which I will take apart. And you see, it works pretty good. So how to take it apart? Well, you see, there are two guides here. One there and one there. It will prevent the inner part of the lens to move when turning the focusing ring. So, and the focusing ring can of course only move in a short distance, as we can see here from the infinity to near end. But it will only be around 45 degrees or so, maybe, yeah. I would think, without knowing it, that I will take off the front ring here, so I know where, so I can go further into the focusing system. But before doing so, I'll just make a scratch in line with the index mark here. So somewhere around here, just to be sure where it should sit. Not only on the ring, but also on the inside here. Not on the thread, but only on the edge of this, of the inner tube. So we can just take this out. Oh, a bit too thick. That will be the small one. It will be the 2mm, as you can see here. It'll be interesting to see how it's put together. So there. Off with that. So it's sometimes very good with a magnetized screwdriver, and sometimes it can also be annoying. So off with that ring. You see, there are some shiny areas here where there's oil on, and if there is that, I mean too much, one can use a cotton bud to wipe it away. But there's a little too much oil fooling around, and it's also a good thing if it's up here. They probably will continue down here to the blades and the aperture assembly. Now, to get this ring off, okay, yeah, I think I will take off the inner part here. It will say take the two guides here out and then turn the inner only at the same time as I hold on the focusing ring. I mean, it cannot go any further, so I will guess we also need to take off the rubber ring, but I will begin to take out the inner tube by unscrew those two parts. But before doing so, again, remember to make scratch around those, because they could have oval holes. So if one do like I do here, put a scratch on each side and around the edge here. And also on this side here. So I have full control over where this part should sit. And just to remember, those two guides can be different. I mean, there can be some differences in the way they make it. So I'll just put a mark here. It says 1. And I will also make a scratch up here where it says 1. Because then I am very sure those two parts have to sit together. There's no need for the setting marks over here, except for the part that has to sit correct. If they do not sit correct and the holes are oval, the focus could probably be very stiff to move. So if we can do so. So now I'm actually ready to take the focusing system apart. I mean, part of it. And there's one thing we have to know before taking it apart. It will say, when I take the inner tube here, I mean, it's there is a thread that we cannot see for the focusing ring, but when I move this to get it off, I mean, how should it be? Come off there. Which way to go? Is it counterclockwise or clockwise? I don't know yet, but okay, we'll loosen those two parts, guides. Where's my screwdriver here? Okay, the holes are pretty good, so there shouldn't be any problem with that. But it could be that they wasn't good. Oh, for that. And also the other one, which is number 1. So there. And remember, when the guides are out, this part can be moved. And if you think, okay, I can just unscrew it, Well, before you unscrew it, you have to be very sure when the thread comes off when you turn it. If not, you have no idea where, because it could be a multi-thread focusing system. You see, the focusing ring can be moved, and also this part here. So you see, if I move it, and I can also move it itself without moving the focusing ring. So it's, yeah, you can see this inner tube has to be unscrewed counterclockwise. It will say that way. And when it comes off, I will set a mark on the back here so I know exactly where the correct thread is. So one have to have good, have a good grip on both parts. So when the parts come off, I can set my mark. So as we can see here, it has to sit like there. And since I also have a mark here with in line with the index mark, so maybe I should, before doing so any further, I will also set one here, which is the number 1. So then, well, I could actually with my tool here measure how is the distance from here into there, and I will just do so, just like this. And where is my distance? It in this case is 10. Should just align them in. It should be something like 10.95 millimeter when the lens is set to near end. I will say here 0.3 millimeter. Now I know where things should sit, because I have a number here and I have a number down there. So I can simply unscrew it counterclockwise. But the important thing is where does the focusing thread goes off here. And be very, so how long will it go? 1. Okay. Where did it go? Here. So I can turn it here with the index mark here. And how will it be? 1 full revolution, or will it be almost? I don't know. Okay, here it comes off. So now I have to sit there. And you see, sometimes it can be a problem to get the thread into place again. It has to say click when hit the correct thread. So there it is. So the the inner tube, inner helicoil as one said, there it comes off. So I will just set a mark down here. Or I could just go around here. Sometimes it can be a problem to find a spot where you can set it. So this it there and there. So by can also set a small mark here with a pen. But if I need to clean it, this mark will probably disappear. So now I'm very sure where things should sit, and I can simply just take it off. And when putting it back in, just have to find the correct place and simply find the correct thread, and it can be sometimes a problem. It says click, and here we go. And this 45 degree, I mean, not 45, of course, 45, 180 would be something 270 degree. So it will be, the mark is here, my near end. So I will go around over to there. It will be close to this area where the aperture connection thing is, and it's off. So that's it. Not that bad. But what about the focusing ring itself? Well, it's a much finer thread that is on here, because it will not move that much even if you turn it 90 degree. So how do we get that off? You see, it looks like there are 3 screws around here. That is where the focusing ring is connected to. So this is made of metal, but the focusing ring itself is made of plastic. So I need to set a mark somewhere. It could be with the infinity mark that's in line with the index mark. So I set the lens there and make a scratch there. Maybe some people, they would say, you damaged the lens. No. I make it possible to fix it again without a repair manual. This is not an expensive lens, but it could be. So now I'm ready to unscrew the focusing ring. But there are some, I see there are some spacers around here. There, but not there. Okay. Small. And the next one. Another one with a spacer on, and the last one, which there isn't any. So now I can take this off here, and since I have my mark here, I know exactly where the focusing ring should sit. So there. There. And since I know where the infinity mark is, I can just set a mark here. I mean, somebody has, maybe it's a factory, I would guess so. There is a kind of a mark here, but I'll just set one there and there. I mean, no one will see the marks. So now I can actually unscrew the outer helicoil, but it's a finer thread. So how to do that and which direction? Not this direction. So I have to unscrew it counterclockwise. So, and if there are more marks than one, I can just make my marks here like an arrow. So I know exactly it's my mark there. So I can unscrew it. But remember to count how many turns. There could be more than one turn. So 1, 2, and where did it go? There, 3. And now it feels loose. 4. And where will it slip off the thread? Oh, there. So I'll just go a little back to find the thread. And where did it come off? A bit over 4 times. So, and then I will set a mark here where the helicoil comes off. So I know exactly where it should sit. So that's fine. All for that. And when I put it back in again, I need to go a little back and catch the thread so it fits. One have to. So there it is. And this is my starting point there. There's 1, 2, and 3, and come on, that is 4, and then I'm back again. So I can simply just take it off. That would be 1 turn, 2nd, 3rd, and 4 turns, and then a little bit more, and then it's off. And if I want to re-loop the lens, it will also be a simple thing. And then I'm actually almost done. Would also take off the distance assembly here. It can only sit one position, and then you need a smaller. It will be, say, 2 mm, and simply unscrew it. And it's also only one rounded hole. off for that. Tiny screws. And then the this part should come off without any problem. I mean, it should actually. But why will it not come off? Sometimes one can push gently on the side. There could be some thread lock in under here, but don't push too much on the edge. But here you can see it comes off. And here we are, actually fully disassembled. There are two screws here. I do not take them off because it's not necessary, and I do not take out this part here. It's not necessary at all. But now this two screws here is actually the stop for the focusing ring, and it will say here one end there and the other end over here. So see here, when I turn the focusing ring, it will stop because there is a kind of a gap here all the way around here. So that was actually that. And the next video will be the full assembly of the video of this lens. So see you. And now I will continue with the part 4, where I will show how to disassemble the lens groups. So yeah, let's go ahead. And I will begin with the front lens group. And in some lenses there is actually some kind of a thread lock that prevent the front ring and the back ring here of the front lens group from it will prevent the ring, retaining ring here from unscrewing itself. So but here there doesn't seem to be any thread lock. It should be I mean normally it would be around, they put on some kind of a little drop of thread lock, or they put it in a small hole. Here is no holes, and there is no, it doesn't seem there is any thread lock. And it's the same with the back here. Well, maybe here there seems, I think it's just oil. Well, but let's see how we can go into it. And in this case, it's not possible to use the lens tool, lens spinner. So I will only use the rubber tool, which is also much safer to do when working with that kind of lenses. So can this fit? No, this one would be fine. So to get this ring off, I will just use it will be number 5 here of those cones, and I would guess the number, no, sorry, it will be number 4 that I will put on the front here, and number 5 of those cones I will simply put it on back here, and hopefully put it on the thread here, and have a good grip, and then get to the front. Oh yeah, it's off easily. So there isn't any thread lock in this one. And of course I will take the whole assembly process and show how to do it in this simple lens. So off with the retaining ring. And of course I also want to get the lens out of the mount. So, and sometimes they can sit very tight. It maybe is the same for this one. So sometimes you can just flip it over and it will fall in your hand. But it doesn't seem to do that here. So a lens sucker would be very handy. You can get them in many different shapes and forms. This one is an old from, I bought it at torlabs.com, but it has another name. I don't think you can get this tool anymore, but they have a different design today. But now you simply put it on here. Poof, it's silicone, and then it should be possible to get it out. It can take some time, and it sometimes can help to turn the mount where the ring sits. And of course one can get a bigger one, which I will just get because it's much better. Hold on a second. So this one from Japan Hobby Tool, which is a really good lens sucker. It's bigger than the other one, as you can see here. And it's really, it's not that expensive. So you push on it, put it on, and then it should be possible to simply take it out. Very easy. So, and they have painted some ink or whatever it is, I think it's ink, to prevent streak light or something in the lens that could make some flare. Oh, there was another ring. That's a spacer. Okay, didn't see that. Well, nothing serious happen, but there could be another lens in here. I mean, it could be. So let's put it back in again, so we are sure where it sits. And again, it's really tight fit here. So, and it sits correct. So it's very important you know where things should sit when you put it in. So off it comes. And don't put it straight on the on your work desk, but put it on something so it's not you can put it besides, I mean, on something, so it's not directly on the table, work desk. So how about the next lens? We'll just have the spacer retaining ring. Be sure how it should sit, because if you sit it wrong when you assemble, you will probably damage this lens or the front lens. So it has to sit like this. Now to take off the next one, it could be that way. Oh yeah, it comes out. It's really tight fit, but I'm sure we'll get it. Yeah, here it comes. And then you can see again there is another, not really a spacer, but you can be very sure how the lens should face. So let's see. The spacer here, which sits like that, and the next lens that goes directly on here. So this one can sit here and cannot move. So the whole front lens, I mean not the whole, we will get to it. There, and put it somewhere here. Now the back here, which also have a kind of a retaining ring, I will simply do the same. So where is my small here? You can put it over here, or you can just put it on here, because maybe it will not fit. This is a little too big, but maybe it will work. But you can use them in different ways. Oh, there it is. So put it in here, then have a good safe grip, and I think we just put it on here and then oh, it comes off. So I simply put it on here and then press on the side, and since it's very sticky rubber, it's actually very easy to work with and unscrew things. So here we are, and I think it will be pretty easy to get the lens out, because there is no vacuum on the other side from the other lenses. So should be pretty straightforward to just take it out. And look how it's facing. It can only sit in one position. So this is how it looks. That was the front lens group. Now the back lens groups might seems to be different. Could be, because there is something like the inner lens. It could be I cannot take it out because it's mount in the tube here. So, but let's see if I can get it out. It could be fine. So this one goes over here where this thread is, and then I have the bigger one too. So, and there is no thread lock. I mean, yeah, there could be something here. You might see there is something here, but it's not really strong thread lock, so there shouldn't be any problem. So the small retaining ring, and out with a very back lens. So, oh, it's very thin. And I could probably take the next lens element. And it sits in a frame. Not really. Oh, there is a kind of a spacer. But hopefully I can lift them out in one step. No, one can try 2-3 times to probably get it out. Sometimes it's not very easy. Yeah, here we are. And you can see, oh, there's some scratch down there. Not mine, but here there is a spacer that also can sit in one position. So we'll just put them there. And this lens goes there. And how about the next lens element? Okay, it comes out. Oh, that was different. Okay, there is a kind of a thin dark spacer. So I think I will just put it down here. Let it stay there. Sometimes things stick together. And now the very inner lens element. Maybe it's not possible to take it out. I don't know yet, but let's see. No. So it's simply put in from this side here. So I cannot really take it out. There is no way I can unscrew it. Or maybe. No. There isn't any way. So I can, well, I can blow out the small hairs in there. I mean, the lens element looks pretty okay, I would guess. But let's have a look on it. Well, it's not inside here, the dust is, it's on the outside. So I would think it will be easy to clean sooner. So yeah, that will be. So the lens is actually fully disassembled. But let's zoom out and see how many parts there are. And I will put it back in again. So that was the fully disassembled process. So, and in the next part, I mean the next full part, I will assemble the whole lens again and show how to do it. So bye!